Hi, my darlings. I'm Sophie Darling, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're reacting to episode 20 of series 1 of Apothecary Diaries. And if I'm correct, we only have 6 more episodes of series 1 left before we move on to series 2, which I am really looking forward to, but also really sad because I know series 3 is in production, but I don't think there's a release date yet. So I'm kind of like, oh, great. By the time I watch series 2, series 3 probably isn't going to be out and I'm going to have to wait. And this is the same thing that happened with Freerun. I was so enjoying Freerun and then it came to an end and I was like, now I have to wait till January. And I mean, it is fairly close till season 2 of Freerun, which I will be watching every week that it comes out because I will not be able to hold off. So Freerun will be coming to Patreon on the day of release, and then obviously it'll come to YouTube a little bit later because obviously Patreon has early access. But I am so excited for series 2 of Freerun, and I'm really excited to watch series 2 of this, but then I'm going to be really sad when it's over, especially if there's no release date for series 3 by that point, but fingers crossed there will be. For some reason, in my head, I thought we had seen Lakin holding this pipe. I was running with that, like, image in my head. Oh, it's Lakin's pipe. But I went back and watched. It's not actually Lakin's pipe. What it is you see Lakin on the balcony and then it immediately cuts to someone handing the pipe over. So in my head, I was like, oh, that's Lakin. It's Lakin's pipe. But it's not Lakin's pipe. We actually never see Lakin with the pipe. So I don't know why I presumed it was his way before it was revealed that it actually was one of the court ladies that handed the pipe over. And I know that we see him handling it in the warehouse after the explosion, but that still doesn't explain why I thought it was Lakin's pipe. I'm not sure how I jumped to that conclusion, but this is why Mamao's dad warns us not to speak on conjecture. Now that I know that it's not Lakin's pipe, the real question comes into it as to whether Lakin has been leaving little strands for Mau Mau to put together what's going on. Because Lakin finds the pipe and he looks at the powder and it's almost as if he puts 2 and 2 together as to what happened, but he doesn't actually report it and therefore allows Mau Mau to A, find the pipe later and also the powder and come to the decision as to what actually happened. Then he sends Mau Mau through Jinji to the three brothers, which then sparks something in Mau Mau's memory of, oh, whoever's performing that ritual is in danger. They're going to be a target. So now it's making me think, did Lakin know that Jinshi was a target? And has Lakin been putting little things together or allowing Mau Mau to find breadcrumbs so that she will figure it out because she's close enough to Jinshi to protect him more so than anyone else. It makes sense as well because Lakin was there and spoke and vouched for Mau Mau, allowing her to go in and rescue Jinshi. Without his backing, it would have been nearly impossible for Mau Mau to get inside of the building. She would have done whatever she could to get inside, but I think Lakin knows there's a plot against Jinshi. I think it has to be that he's threading together little breadcrumbs for her to figure out the bigger plot against Jinshi's life. Possibly. Because they're very similar in how their minds work and they're very analytical, and I feel like maybe that's something she gets from him and he knows that she would be like that. So therefore he knows how to entice her, how to get her involved in this mystery whilst not putting her in danger by outright telling her there's a plot against Jinshi or by having someone outright tell her. He's trying to make her discover what's going on whilst also trying to keep her as safe as possible. Lakin obviously didn't expect Mau Mau to get injured, and I think that's part of why he looks so stricken when Jinshi walks out carrying Mau Mau, is because he realizes how injured she actually is. He didn't see her face when she ran up the stairs. He was behind her, so we didn't see the full extent of what the guy with the club had done. And also her leg was bleeding and she was unconscious. So I think he was like, oh shit. But that also coupled with the fact that Jinshi is this royal prince, this noble, high up member of the royal family, is carrying what is considered a commoner without any care or shame for how people might talk or look at him, because Mao Mao is just that important to him. But without further ado, we're going to get into episode 20 because I want to see what happens next, how Mao Mao recovers, and also I imagine we're going to see a really sort of overprotective Jinshi. He's going to want to look over her and make sure she's okay and probably doesn't leave her bedside. And if Mao Mao eventually stops gaslighting herself about Jinshi, because she even said, what's Jinshi doing here? Where's this high noble? And it's like, you know, it's a high noble. Put 2 and 2 together, girl. Mao Mao puts 2 and 2 together and gets 5 instead of 4. That's literally what she's doing. I think she just doesn't want to believe that someone of that status could be interested in her or would be in this position as a eunuch, because he's not a eunuch. I am categorically dying on the hill that that man is not a eunuch, but we're going to shut up and we're going to get into it. Oh, she's in his room.
無理しちゃダメよ。15針も縫ったんだから。
Oh, damn.
医局で寝かせるのもなんだって神子様が連れてきたのよ。はい、どうぞ。
ありがとうございます。
He truly cares for her. So many people will be so worried about her.
どういう経緯であの場所にやってきたのか、なぜ柱が落ちるのが分かったのか、説明してもらおうか。
I thought we were gonna see maybe like Gyokyu showing up, but I guess she can't because it's outside of the rear palace and she's not really allowed to go there.
しかしまるで意図的に偶然が引き寄せられたようでした。一つ目の偶然は去年、霊部の高官である光年様が亡くなったことです。二つ目に、倉庫でぼやが起き、同時に別の場所で細具が盗まれたこと。そして三つ目は、ほぼ同時期に細具の管理者が食中毒で倒れたことです。さらにもう一つ、重要なことがあります。
なんだ？
盗まれた細具です。祭事では、祭壇の柱を金属線で吊り上げ、床の金具に固定していました。
Yeah, and the person that reported it
もし
was
事
let
故に見せ
go.
かけるのであれば、要である金具を狙うでしょう。祭事にふさわしい凝った装飾をすると考えられます。その職人に心当たりがありました。もし、この金具が熱で壊れるようになっていたとしたら。
Oh, so somebody drew it up to specifically
金
break.
属だぞ。そんな程度の熱で。
You saw it yourself.
超金細工師もこの計画を立てた一味ということか。
いえ、おそらく何も知らず、依頼された通りに金具を作ったのだと思います。
Somebody's pulling strings.
しかし祭事で事故が起きれば、職人も不審に思います。その前に消してしまえば、依頼人の名も、低温で溶ける金属の技術も闇に葬られ、とても都合が良かったでしょう。
まさか殺されたのか。
それはわかりません。
There's no way of knowing.
少なくとも、死んだ職人に金具の製作を頼んだ人間は、その技術が何であるか知っていた。
They're gonna think it's Laken.
何者なんだよこいつ。こんな大掛かりな事件で命を狙われる。
Come on, Mao Mao. You put all this together and you can't put together Jinshi's importance. I think it's willful ignorance, isn't it? She doesn't want to accept it. She doesn't want to get in trouble for knowing or be at risk because of it.
例の事件、水霊という官女が関係していたんだが。
やはり水霊か。
死体で見つかったよ。
Oh.
警部が部屋に乗り込んだ時には毒を煽って倒れていたらしい。医官による検視も済んで死亡も確認された。
Oh, damn.
どうなるのですか？
There's
明
so
日
many
には棺
moving
に入れ
parts,
たま
it's
ま
crazy.
家計に処されるんじゃないか。
他の関係者は？
他にはいない。水霊一人だけだ。
She took the secrets to the
あれ
grave.
ほど細々としたことを全部
No,
一人
there's no way she's acting
とにかく
alone.
一件落着だな。それじゃ
No, that's what they want you to think.
本当にこれで終わりなのか？
No.
水霊は自殺するような女だろうか。無気力な顔、投げやりな態度は先がないと分かっていたからか。
She talked about
でもあの時の試すような口
Mau skills as an
ここに
apothecist.
朝顔を植えるわ。
Yeah, morning glories. I think she knew her life was maybe in danger. Wait, what if she's not dead? What if it's like a sleeping drug that makes one appear to be dead, but she's not actually dead, that allows her to get away? She could be dead, but I don't know. Resurrection seems an odd term to use.
お待たせして申し訳ありません。
やはりこの医官が剣士を。
Oh, the one that was like infatuated almost with her.
なおかつ罪人扱いされたのだからやつれもするだろう。患女が飲んだ毒にマンダラケが使われていませんでしたか？
それは。
毒性は強いですが適量なら麻酔薬として作用します。
So she may not
医局
actually
にそ
be
れがない
dead.
とは思えません。マンダラケは白い朝顔の花に似ている。
But why would she hint to Mau Mau that she may not be dead?
では実際に確かめてみましょう。
She's like, let me see the body.
何をする？
黙って見ててください。
水霊じゃない。
Somebody who's replaced the body.
本当に水霊でしたか？
I don't know if he's in on it. He seems really devastated.
脈も心の像も動いていなかった。
つまりいいように利用されたんですね。毒の正体を解明するために死体を切り刻もうとは考
I
えも
don't think
し
he could
なか
bear
った。
himself to do it, and maybe someone offered to do it instead. And she used that opportunity to slip out.
この医官を責めるとすれば薬の管理が不
Crazy.
十分だったことだろうか。新しい棺の中に代わりの死体を入れて持ち込みすり替えたのでしょう。
だが水霊の遺体はどうなる？持ち出すにしても目立つだろう。
持ち出す必要はありません。
どういうことだ？
自分で歩いて帰ったのですから。
Because she's not dead.
死んでいたのではないのか？
No.
人を死んだように見せる薬があります。
So was she testing Mau Mau to see how good of an apothecary she is by giving her a hint? Or did she not think Mau Mau would catch on?
シャオマオ。
ガオ
She's
シン様、
overworking herself.
空の棺桶を調べていただけますか？
はい。釘の跡です。
そして助けに来た者が棺桶を開ける頃に息を吹き返した。別の死体が入った棺桶を代わりに置き業者の格好に変装して出て行った。どのみち見つかれば死罪になるのでしょう。
Who is she working for though? Because she's not in on this alone.
ここに遺体がないということは水霊は賭けに勝ったということです。代わりの死体が燃やされた後なら完全勝利だったはずですが。
Mau Mau beat her at her own
そんな真似
game.
はさせない。生きていたら会いたいですね。捕まえるためじゃない。数々の事件を事故に見せかけた知識。それをやってのける度胸。何より自分の命を賭けの代償にしてまで皆を騙そうとしたしたたかさ。
She finds it
こ
admirable.
んな人物がさっさとくたばっては面白くないだろう。蘇りの妙薬、絶対に作り方を教えてもらう。
Oh my god. Alright, Mau Mau.
すみません。
なんだ？
足を縫ってもらえませんか？
Oh,
傷口が
Mau
開いたようなので。
Mau.
それを早く言え！
Oh, she overdid it. But she can't be working alone. So who is she working with? Okay, that's not suspicious at all.
水霊という感情についても曖昧な点が多い。医官によると、彼の死が彼女の後見人だったという。数年前、彼女の才能を見抜き、養女に迎えたらしいが、それ以前のことはよくわからないという。長丁場になりそうだな。
It really is.
シャオマを送り届けてきました。
いつも悪いな。
また傷口が開くようなことをされてはいけませんから。
I love how much they both care for her.
問題ないかと。いつもと同じです。
すなわち微妙な味だと。
What tastes
嫌なら飲まな
bad?
くてもよろしいのに。
一応のけじめだ。宦官としてのな。
What are they drinking?
洗練された所作、天女の笑み、蜂蜜の声。高級が限定のものになった5年前に宦官となった弱い24の男。人種の仮面をかぶると決めてから、こうして毎日男でなくす薬を飲み
He's
続け
not
て
a eunuch!
その
So
うち
that's how
本当
he
に
gets
不安に
away
なり
with
ますよ
it.
お前だって同じだろ。
子はもう成人していますし、先日孫がもう一人生まれまし
Oh, so he's not a eunuch either.
た。
He's
はい。
here to protect
末の息子も
Jinchi.
そろそろ嫁をもらってもいいのですが。
マッシって馬前だろ。まだ19じゃないか。
ええ、あなた様と同じ19です。
宦官人種は24だが、
Yeah, but you're not 24.
あとお手つきを作ってこんな仕事を終わらせろとでも言いたげだな。
早く孫を抱かせてください。
努力する。
So is Jinshi his real name? Probably not. Jinshi is the mask that he wears to hide his true identity because the Emperor has employed him to work here within the rear palace.
主情はローラン妃のもとに通ってはいるが、あまり触手が動かないという。訪れるたびに妃が誰かわからなくなり、混乱するそうだ。ローラン妃の父親が、先の皇太后に気に入られた重臣であり、下手に扱うわけにはい
Right.
かないからだ。
Okay. Could he be puppeteering his daughter?
今の皇帝の初めての巫女も、間もなく亡くなった。
No, he
もし
wasn't.
その時の子が、今生きていれば、くだらぬ妄想だ。
That child did survive. It was you.
さっさと、次の東宮をこしらえてしまえばいい。
No, he doesn't, because he already has one.
来たのね。
随分とお疲れのようですが。
はいはい。あなたたちはお仕事に戻
Is she pregnant?
実は
Is she pregnant? I think she might be pregnant.
玉葉妃の月の道が途絶えているらしい。
She's gonna have another
す
baby.
なわち妊娠の可能性があると。むしろ都合がいい。高級内は男子禁制。名前も聞きたくないあれと顔を合わせることはないだろう。もしかして気を使ってくれたのだろうか。どちらにせよ、また毒味役。
あら。
He's hiding her away.
え
Keep her
そんなことは
safe.
残念ね。せっかく期待外がある子が入ってきたと思ったのに。
She's like, I'm going. I'm out.
毒味の毎日を過ごしている。問題ありません。
Oh,
月経が来ていないこと以外、これといった確証はない。
so much older now.
アードー妃の件でも思ったが、ただの公職親父じゃないのかもしれない。
He's not. I think he's very sweet.
相談役としても心強かったアードー妃が去り、代わ
We
りに
don't know
時代して
much
きたの
about
は
him.
宮廷にすら影響を
But
与
I
えか
think
ね
the
ない変わ
Emperor's
り者の娘。
a very
無限にもでき
kind
ず、
man, or as kind as he can be for a man in his
だからといって子ができても厄介。
position.
頭の痛い話だろうな。
三姫の一人がそう見受けされるんだって
Oh? Which one? And by who? Who's she being bought out by? So there was quite a lot revealed in this episode in terms of the fact that we know there is a bigger plot ongoing. There is clearly moving parts here because she could not be doing this all on her own. We also learned that the Emperor has a dislike for younger girls because of the previous Emperor's like for them, which is fucking disgusting. So yeah, he has decided to spurn that because of the fact that his father liked young girls, and that clearly disgusted him, and he was raised better, thank God. So he has a love for developed women. That's why he will never actually touch Li Shu, which is good to know, but also still leaves her at risk of being replaced at some point. Oh, what if she gets dismissed and she gets to go live with Aldua? That would be really sweet. Then she could be a mother to her, and then they could like live happily together away from court and the politics and the drama. That's so idealistic, but maybe the emperor will do that. I think he is a kinder man than Mao Mao presumes him to be, because of course she presumes him to be lecherous because all the women here are picked for their beauty. Their main goal is to essentially give the emperor as many children as possible, including heirs. So they need to be as fertile as possible. So she's made this assumption that he's a lewd, lecherous man and that his only interest in them is sexual. So seeing the way that the emperor interacts with her, and he seems to genuinely enjoy that moment of fatherly affection and spending time with them beyond it just being about sex, clearly indicates that he cares more for these women than he's given credit for. And I think as well, his willingness to allow Aldua to leave, to live the life that she truly wants, is admirable of him. But also the fact that he kept her around for so long in this position, knowing that she couldn't give him any more children, emphasizes just how much love and admiration he has for her. He could have dismissed her. She was of no value to him in terms of court politics, but he loved her. That meant more to him than having children. He could have replaced her with a courtesan that could provide children, but he didn't, because they wouldn't ever be able to fill that love he has for her. It was his way of continuing to give her the respect and admiration he believes that she deserves. Rather than just dismissing her the moment he becomes emperor, he elevates her status, which allows her to be able to retire in wealth and luxury, and unknowingly also allowed her to stay around her son, because the emperor doesn't know that Jinshi is his son. I don't think he knows. I think the only two people that would know, or possibly three people, would be the Empress Dowager, Mao Mao's dad, the doctor, and Aldua. I don't think the Emperor knows, because it would be weird having to pretend that your own son is your brother. I don't know if you'd be able to hide it that well. We've also seen that Aldua was his trusted advisor and she's been replaced, who isn't really getting along well with the emperor, but we also know that her dad is a trusted, close political advisor. It makes me think that perhaps her dad is maybe in on this assassination of Jinshi. I feel like maybe the new courtesan's dad, Lulan, I think that's how you say her name. Lu is in like Lolan. I think it's Lolan. I think Lolan's dad, who was the previous Empress Dowager's favorite, aka the mother of the previous emperor. It all gets a bit confusing because they use like previous empress. They don't use like actual names, because we know that there's still an Empress Dowager who is alive. That is the current emperor's mother. Therefore, the previous Empress Dowager would be the current emperor's grandmother. So his grandmother looks as if maybe she had a strong position of influence and power. Maybe she was the true ruler behind her son. Maybe she was the one that was puppeteering, because we know that she is the reason why Mama's dad became a eunuch. I keep saying dad because technically he is her dad, but it was because of the previous Empress Dowager that Mama's dad was made a eunuch. And then now we have this high ranking official whose daughter has now replaced Aldua. Aldua was a trusted advisor to the emperor. So I feel like he is hoping his daughter would be able to get close enough to the emperor to be able to whisper in his ear and maybe pull strings. Maybe that's his hope, is that his own legacy or progeny will inherit by his grandchild becoming the next emperor if Lolan has a son. But could he be behind trying to assassinate Jinshi? Because then it would work in terms of the fact that whoever is orchestrating this has to be significantly high up. They have to have power and influence, but also the fact that he now has stakes in this, you would want to remove an obstacle. And if he knew who Jinshi was or suspected, he would want to get rid of Jinshi. But even if he doesn't know Jinshi's true identity, Jinshi being the emperor's younger brother, which the high-ranking official may also know, because quite a few people do know, it's hidden, but there are people like Laken that know about Jinshi and his connection to the emperor. So even if they don't know that Jinshi is actually the heir through being the current emperor's son, he still would be the heir in terms of the fact that the current emperor doesn't have a son. Hence why Jinshi was saying he needs to get on and have a child, because until he has a son, Jinshi is the heir. Jinshi's next in line. And this episode also confirmed that Jinshi is not a eunuch, that he is taking a drink that suppresses his manhood, but can also make him impotent, and that he's not actually 24, he's 19. I always thought he looked younger than what they said he was. So he is a lot younger than we give him credit for. And what's the other wild thing that happened in this episode? There were a few. Like, this episode, there was a lot of information being thrown that I feel like is going to be really important coming up. So my brain is trying to like remember it all and lock it away. So Jinshi is beginning to suspect that maybe the baby could have survived, but I don't know if Jinshi will come to that understanding yet. I think it would be a massive shock to him to know that he is actually the current emperor's eldest son. He is next in line, which is insane. We know that Jinshi may not actually be his real name. It says Jinshi is the mask that he puts on to do this work, and they want to eventually bring this work to an end. And by this work, it's something that the emperor has tasked him to do, maybe to root out any insubordination, to pick up any rumors that could be people plotting for the emperor's downfall, because gossip is rife in the rear palace, because gossip is power for women. It is a way of establishing power but also gaining power. We've seen Gyokyu use the information she gets from the emperor to benefit her home country and her people by increasing their trade and their relations with the emperor. So she's able to directly benefit her own people through things like gossip. Gossip has power. So maybe Jinshi is there to see what's going on, to test loyalty to the emperor. So only the most loyal of the loyal remain in the rear palace, but also almost like a keeper of secrets. He is the eyes and ears of the rear palace, but also the eyes and ears of everything that's going on. He knows all these moving parts. So he is the person that is looking over the bills that are being put forward. He's speaking with other officials. He is knowing literally every little intricate thing that is happening. So I think he's like the keeper of secrets. This information that he's gathering is for a bigger purpose. I think there's maybe suspicion that perhaps somebody could be out to disrupt their empire and could be a threat to that empire, and they're maybe trying to figure that out. But I think Lolan's dad is perhaps one of the moving parts for targeting Jinshi. I don't know. It's just very weird that she is featured being told something that we're not privy to that information. But what is she being told? It's almost as if she could be informed that A, Jinshi survived, B, Serial was able to successfully escape and mask her identity, that the plan didn't come to fruition in the way that she expected it to. I was sus of Lolan from the minute I met her. There was something about the way that she was so just disinterested in the position that she's come into. And I feel like maybe her father's forced her into this position for his own power-hungry attempts to gain status and privilege. Maybe through his daughter, he's hoping that his legacy will live on because his grandchildren will be future emperors. I'm not entirely sure. That's if Gyokyu's not pregnant with a baby boy, but Jinchi is still set to inherit anyway. But I think Gyokyu could be having a little baby. Ling Li's gonna become a big sister, which is really cute. She looks so much older in this episode. It's wild. And yeah, it's really disconcerting how different Lolan looks every time the Emperor comes to meet her, almost as if she doesn't want the Emperor to get to know her. Maybe that's her way of rebelling against what her father demands her to do. She's trying to deter the Emperor because she doesn't actually want to be in this position. She has no interest in being there. So it could just be that changing up her appearance and looking different each time is her way of disguising herself. Strange. It's saying could cause political issues. Also, the mention of one of the three princesses being bought out, because who has the money to afford that? But I think that's all I want to say for now. I think this episode has dropped a lot of information that there is a ongoing plot to assassinate Jinshi. So either someone is targeting Jinshi because they've learned that he is the current emperor's son, or Jinshi is the heir regardless, and they're trying to get rid of Jinshi before the emperor has any sons to inherit, because then there is no one to inherit and it would cause political contention and rivalry to potentially try and rebel and rise up yourself, because if there is no heir, it means that people might see that as an opportunity to throw their hat into the ring to replace the emperor by becoming emperor themselves. They might use that as a justification for rebellion. I think it could just be tied to the fact that Jinshi is next in line and there is no one else that could inherit, and that's why they're targeting him, because to get rid of him is to pave the way for someone else's succession. And I think it could be Lolan's dad vying for a position of authority and power. I think he's puppeteering his daughter. I think she doesn't want to be in this position and he's becoming a little puppet master. But it is crazy how many moving parts there are to this, and I imagine this episode is going to be incredibly important going forward. But it has confirmed things that I'd already suspected, like way back in episode 10, which is wild. And I would love to know if Jinshi is his real name, because it sounds as if Jinshi isn't actually his real name, but a pseudonym to protect his identity whilst he is here. But as to the true extent of why he's here, we will only find out by watching, because I imagine there is something bigger going on, especially because we know the Emperor entrusted him to be here. He directed this because he trusts Jinchi, probably most of all because that is his baby brother in his mind. So who better to entrust than the person that is supposed to be closest to you, which is your own flesh and blood? But it's his son, and he doesn't know that yet. And I think that's all I have to say for now. If you enjoyed this react, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye!